All right, welcome to the Young Turks. Cenk, Uygur, and Kasparian with you guys on a lovely Thanksgiving week in America. So we got Obama, we got Trump, we got a lot of candidates.
A lot of big ones, a lot of little ones.
Absolutely. So no, big show ahead. Usual tick stuff, but important details. And well, we're gonna get to the Obama story first. So I'll just save that for a second because that is infuriating.
It is infuriating. But before we get to that, quick announcement. First off, we have partners, as you guys know. It's one of the ways to help support this show. So Aspiration is a financial institution that we have partnered up with, and they have similar values as we do here at TYT. We don't want to invest money in fossil fuel companies. We're big proponents of charity, and Aspiration will dedicate 10% of every dollar to charity, and they will not invest your money in the fossil fuel industry or any other shady corporation. So check them out, go to aspiration.com/TYT. And then we have one other announcement that's super exciting. Shop TYT is doing a sale, okay? So this is day 7 of Shop TYT's 10 days of Black Friday. You can get a free TYT lanyard with your purchase of any hoodie or sweatshirt, but only today. Today only, guys. You gotta act right now.
It's probably time to panic. Is there a code for that?
Yes, the code for that, I'm sorry. Okay, so the lanyard discount will automatically populate at checkout.
Oh, it's gonna populate.
Yeah,
you don't need to do anything.
I've never seen that used before. It's kind of cool. And while you're at it, you can also further support us by using your Aspiration card. So you do that, and then you can sign up for Aspiration at aspiration.com/TYT. So like you're actually helping us in 2 ways. You're supporting us through our store with our merch. You're getting a free little goodie on top of it, and you're supporting us through opening an account with Aspiration.
For a second there, I thought it was gonna be free hoodies at Shop TYT. One, I was gonna be like, no, bring it back. We're gonna get bankrupt. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be a bit much.
And then 2, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get more. I didn't know we're throwing around lanyards. All right, go get that, shoptyt.com. All right, what's that?
All right, now let's go after Obama for being a bad guy in this case. All right, so as we all know, Obama has remained relatively silent during the Trump administration, and people have been calling on him to speak out against some of the terrible things that Trump has done during his administration. Now, a recent profile about Obama in Politico, written by Ryan Lizza, indicates that there are a few moments where Obama would feel compelled to speak out, namely when Bernie Sanders serves as a threat to the moderate Democrats. So let me give you the details. According to Lizza's piece, back when Sanders seemed like more of a threat than he does now.
Well, you might want to rethink that too.
Exactly. Obama said privately that if Bernie were running away with the nomination, Obama would speak up to stop him.
So speaking up about Trump, it could go either way, 50-50. Bernie, wait a minute. We can't have it. I'm gonna throw away all neutrality to go after Bernie. We'll see, like it hasn't happened yet, and these are people close to the former president saying that that's what motivated him. But is anybody really surprised? I mean, look, there's people who will fake surprise, and there's Democrats all over cable news who say, oh my God, you're not allowed to say anything bad about Barack Obama, right? So yeah, I don't believe that. I think that Obama is human. I think he did good things and bad things. And if he is in this conservative group of Democrats, which he most certainly is, well, then his priorities are clear.
Okay, I'm gonna make a statement, and it's gonna sound like a strong statement, but I really mean this. I think liberals are the unspoken threat to our democracy.
Okay, so you got to clarify what you mean by liberals, because everybody uses words in different ways.
When I say liberals, I'm referring to people like Obama, right? So I see them as different from progressives. I see them as moderate Democrats. It's the best way to describe them.
Yeah,
liberals who pretend like they care about, let's say, social justice issues, but those are really the issues that they try to, I guess, rehabilitate their reputations with, when in reality, they're screwing those communities economically. They're screwing all of us economically. They see people like Bernie Sanders as a threat because Sanders isn't a threat to us. Sanders is a threat to their fortune. Sanders is a threat to their profit motive. Sanders is a threat to their donors.
Yeah, look, I don't love the word liberal in that context. I know people do use it in that context. I think moderate Democrat, conservative Democrat, corporate Democrat, establishment Democrat makes sense. I think that Obama honestly is all of those things. And so I used to say while he was president that if he had a wrestling nickname, it would be the establishment. And so there's two quotes that he says he loves about from Martin Luther King. I thought, great. I can't. It's hard to find a Martin Luther King quote that I don't love. In fact, we've got some of them on our shirts, shoptyt.com. So one was the fierce urgency of now. I was like, really, Obama thinks about the fierce urgency of now? That probably depends on his audience. And then the second one was the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. So, well, I love that quote too, but what Obama means by that is the arc is long. Let's not rush into anything. And those two quotes, in the way that Obama is using them, according to the Politico article and his top advisors and inside sources, is they're juxtaposed to one another. One is go act now, and the other is hold off, incremental change, right? So it's classic Obama.
Yes.
To get whatever you want. You want now, I'm a politician, I'll say now. You want long term, I'm a politician, I'll say long term. And whichever one you like, vote for me, okay? And so, but there is an answer to what Obama actually believes. He had one of those quotes
embroidered in his Oval Office rug.
That's right.
Yeah.
You wanna guess which one? The one where you take really, really long.
The incrementalism, yeah.
Yes, not the fierce urgency of now. That is not embroidered anywhere in Obama's furniture.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when he sees, and I'll tell you what the real issue here is, it's not just that Obama's an establishment Democrat, it's ego. So when he sees people like Bernie Sanders who say, no, we can do big change right now. And Obama's whole thesis was tiny change. We can't do big change. If we could, I would have done it because I'm heroic. But since I didn't do it, I have to assume that it can't be done. And if anybody shows me up by doing big change, well, that'll hurt my legacy and that'll hurt my ego. So Trump, I could take it or leave it, but Bernie, man, if that guy has any chance, I'm gonna jump out in front, break all of my etiquette, my beloved etiquette, to go attack Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, he won't break etiquette in order to defend Americans who have suffered as a result of the cruelty of the Trump administration. He doesn't care about those people. But what he does care about, and you're absolutely right, Cenk, is his legacy. I mean, that comes up over and over again in this piece, and it's something that we already suspected. I'm gonna provide evidence of that in just a second, but let's finish on what he had to say about Bernie. So Liza continues to write, when it comes to Sanders, I asked one close advisor whether Obama would really lay himself on the line to prevent a Sanders nomination. I can't really confirm that, the advisor said. He hasn't said that directly to me. The only reason I'm hesitating at all is because, yeah, if Bernie were running away with it, I think maybe we would all have to say something, but I don't think that's likely. It's not happening.
No, they view him as an existential threat.
Yes, they do view him as a threat, like economically we know, right? To their best interests.
Their consultant businesses, their lobbying businesses, their corruption industrial complex. So that's why the advisor, not Obama, the advisor says, look, we would all have to do something. I mean, Trump, yeah, he's a pain in the ass and he's racist and he's a terrible person.
But he helps Democrats raise money.
And businesses chugging along, right? So consultants are getting paid even more, lobbyists are making even more money. Corruption is at its height, not at its ebb. Bernie would actually do something about corruption. He actually fights for the little guy. Existential threat to anyone in corrupt Washington, D.C.
Now, when it comes to Elizabeth Warren, it appears that Obama has mixed feelings, right? So he doesn't seem to see Warren as much of a threat, right? But he still sees her as a threat, especially when it comes to his legacy. So according to the piece, Obama's relationship with Warren is famously complicated. Back in early 2015, Obama said privately that if Democrats rallied around her as their nominee, it would be a repudiation of him, a clear sign that his economic decisions after the Great Recession had been seen as inadequate.
What did I tell you? What did I just tell you?
No, but like-
My legacy, my legacy.
Yeah, but Cenk, what's amazing to me is the truth, right? And he knows what the truth is. He knows that his economic policies didn't go far enough to help Americans. In fact, I think that his administration and the fact that so many Americans felt left behind opened the doors for a lunatic like Trump, right? But at the same time, instead of having this moment of self-reflection and trying to figure out, like, damn it, there's something that I missed, there's something that I should have done, right? He's decided, no, I'm gonna try to, go against a candidate who might actually do more for people in terms of economic justice, because I don't want to face the reality publicly that I was a failure for a lot of Americans when it came to economic justice.
And so look, Obama is incredibly popular in the country and certainly within the Democratic Party. Why? Well, a couple of reasons. One, for all of our left-wing critique of Obama, he was a good manager. If you needed someone to manage something, Obama was an incredibly smart guy who could, he's the opposite of Trump in that sense. A terrific, competent manager, right? If you're looking for bold leadership, you ain't gonna get it from Obama. That's just not who he is. And so he believes in incrementalism. I don't know anyone who would actually deny that. But in terms of his popularity, so you got a good manager, and he seemed to be a good steward of the stock market and the economy, and the unemployment numbers dipped, et cetera. So give him credit for all the things he deserves credit on. And then the mainstream media, they're also the establishment, so they loved Obama, a social liberal, economic conservative that maintains the status quo. I mean, the defining trait of the Obama-Biden years, and I say in this case Biden, not just to throw Biden into the lot for political reasons, but because Biden actually negotiated this deal, was when Biden went to McConnell and said, I'll give you all of the Bush tax cuts made permanent except for 6%. So they gave away, and Bush couldn't even do that. Republicans under Bush couldn't get them made permanent. But Biden and Obama made 94% of those tax cuts for the rich permanent. And then bragged about how they raised taxes on the rich by 6%. But the rest of the mainstream media never pointed that out. They never, ever criticized them from the left. So the only thing that anybody ever saw was lunatic criticism of Obama from the right. So if you saw Fox News criticism of Obama, you'd think, well, those guys are insane. This guy seems rational. But then what's there not to love about Obama? So, and part of it is the issues MSNBC. I mean, look, I literally got removed from MSNBC.
Well, you quit.
Well, I quit, but they wanted me to move me to off of prime time, and they made it very clear because I was doing left-wing critique of Obama.
Right.
So there was state control over that cable news station, the one that was supposed to be on the left, and they could not tolerate any critique of Obama from the left.
Exactly.
So what does that leave people with? This image of Obama being golden. And then he gets such a lucky break if all you cared about was his legacy. And here I think it's a mixed record. Then he gets Trump afterwards. My God, if you want to look great, have Trump follow you.
Yeah.
Right? So now, look, to be fair to President Obama, he is actually troubled by Donald Trump. I mean, don't get carried away and think like, oh, boo-ha-ha, he thinks Trump is great. No.
Just not troubled enough to speak out.
No, he does from time to time speak out. But yes, there is details in this story about how his advisors and him have long, what they called intense debates about whether to put out a statement about Trump's worst things from Obama himself or from a spokesperson as a conduit. Like, ooh, should we, the Muslim ban where he just is clearly discriminating against an entire religion. They had this giant long debate and at the end thought, a bridge too far for Obama to criticize it. Let's have the spokesperson put out a comment.
Very bold.
Very, very bold. Classic Obama, but it doesn't mean that he likes Trump. He does not like Trump, but there he's a little, slow to act. And if you think about it, Trump makes him look so good by comparison. So, hey, Trump bad, but God, I look great next to him. Well, Bernie, on the other hand, he could bring real, or apparently Elizabeth Warren, they could bring big change. And then I'd be embarrassed because it turns out I could have gotten big change, I just didn't try for it. Ooh, that one hurts.
Well, one of the people who keeps citing Obama on the campaign trail is, of course, Biden, his vice president, right? And I only bring him up because it appears that Obama's worried about his legacy when it comes to Biden as well, and didn't say nice things about Biden behind the scenes. So with one candidate who was seeking advice, Obama pointed out that during his own 2008 campaign, he had an intimate bond with the electorate, especially in Iowa, that he no longer has. Then he added, and you know who really doesn't have it? Joe Biden.
Oh, I just got it. God damn it, I'm slow too. So he's been taking very subtle pot shots at Joe Biden. Obama has. Of course, he didn't endorse his own vice president. That's not small. That's actually gigantic. We all moved past it because it's almost so awkward that the establishment media didn't want to talk about it. But if you picked your vice president based on you thought he would be the second best person in the country to run the country, that's not why he picked him. He picked him to appeal to white voters. Okay, let's be clear about that. But if you thought he was the second best guy, well, then you would obviously endorse him right away. But like, oh my God. For example, I endorse Anna as host of the Young Turks. Okay, I wouldn't hesitate and be like, well, I'm not sure she's connecting with voters in Iowa. Anyway, or viewers in Iowa. But now, so that's why he was hesitating. But now I understand the second reason. If Biden loses, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, duh, yes.
Yeah,
so
and
like,
oh my God, the beloved, cherished legacy.
No, it's so incredible because behind the scenes, Obama and the people that he's working with right now are like salty about the fact that Biden keeps referencing Obama on the campaign trail. And so one of the other people who's actually a little bitter is Eric Holder, who was considering a run in this election.
Yeah.
And so let me go to that. So when it comes to Eric Holder, Holder was particularly wounded that his close friend wasn't more encouraging of his own ambitions. He's still pretty sensitive about it, said someone close to Holder. Okay, let me just continue. He was really frustrated about having arrived at the decision not to run. Holder couldn't get in because Biden and Holder have the same set of people. Once Biden was getting in, then Eric couldn't get in. So that frustrated Holder, it blocked him. And Biden has turned out to be the way they all feared. So, and that's really frustrating to Eric, right? So they're all thinking like, ugh, Biden, what is he doing? So embarrassing. And then Holder is like holding this grudge. He's the grudge holder.
Okay, Eric, so let me relieve you of your grudges. You wouldn't have won anyway. You wouldn't even come close. All of you are the same exact thing. You're all establishment Democrats. And by the way, Biden has done way better than Eric Holder would have done. Why? Is he smarter than Eric Holder? No. Is he a better politician? No, not necessarily, okay? The reason why is name recognition. Nobody knows who Eric Holder is. We all know him because we follow politics, but regular Americans have no idea who Eric Holder is, whereas everybody knows who Joe Biden is. And by the way, to be fair to Biden, he's still holding the national lead. So would Eric Holder have had the national lead? No way. All of you are wrong. You all think that the rest of the country loves corporate Democrats. And they don't, they just don't. In fact, they really dislike them. Obama was a masterful politician, but at the end of the day, these guys don't have those same political skills. All they have is the core policies that American people don't really like. And the only way that you win with those policies is by running against loathsome Republicans.
So I have to mention one final part of this that I thought was so fascinating. So there's this like culture of kissing the ring, right, of the corporate Democrats, if you're thinking about running. And I mean, I should have known this, but apparently candidates need to go to the West End of DC and they meet with Obama to get advice, right? And he counsels them on the election. So the only two candidates, Democratic candidates obviously, who didn't go to his office to meet with him were Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang, which made me like them more. Right?
Yeah, of course, but probably they weren't invited.
Probably, you're right.
Like Andrew Yang, what an outsider. Yeah. No, I do declare. He hasn't even been vetted by the corporate Democrats. No, I say no and MSNBC says no.
Like the idea of going to Obama for advice is, I mean, I guess you could find some useful information there, but I just thought it was fascinating, right? Especially if you're a candidate who's so different in terms of your proposals and what you want to do to really structurally change this country. Obama's got nothing for you.
Yeah, but they don't want to do that except for two of them, right? So the rest of them are like, how do you win as a corporate Democrat? That'd be amazing. That's what I want to do. My final point though is, guys, you say, well, Cenk, you say corporate Democrats are not good at winning, but you just told me Obama's a corporate Democrat and he won twice. Hold on, think about this. Did Obama ever run against anyone who was more progressive than him?
No.
Never. So he was never actually challenged from the left. He was the most progressive candidate in every election he ran in. So he was more progressive than Hillary Clinton in 2008, and he beat her from the left. And remember the change signs, the hope signs, right? And he was obviously way more progressive than John McCain and way more, well, slightly more progressive than Mitt Romney, right? So he had a free ride. He never, ever got challenged from the left. But I don't want you to mistake what I'm saying. He had a free ride in that sense. He didn't have a free ride in many other respects. The right wing was vicious to him. Fox News was horrific to him. And as an African American in this country with a name like Barack Hussein Obama, on top of being an African American, there was a ton of disadvantages. And so you shouldn't underestimate how good he was at winning elections to have overcome all of that. And I've said that now several times just in this story, right? But having said that, a true test would have been being challenged from the left, especially today. When he won, it was a different time than it is today.
Right.
I don't think Bernie Sanders could have won in 2008, to be honest, right?
I agree, yeah.
I don't think he would have even been close. So it is a different dynamic today. Whereas if you have someone just like Obama in this race, they'd probably do pretty well, and they might even be in the top 4. Pete Buttigieg. But at the end of the day, they're not gonna win. By the way, it turns out he doesn't like Buttigieg either. Why? Too similar to him. And so
it's like high school. It's high school. Politics is high school. Period.
And Ryan Lizza writing the piece couldn't get any of the advisors to say, okay, yeah, but which candidate does he actually like? I'll tell you, Kamala Harris. I'm sure he thought she was gonna win. It's just the exact right of corporate Democrat, pretending to be progressive, but not really that progressive. And so she would have been perfect for him. But as it turns out, she didn't have the political skills, and she's now down at 4% and pretty close to done. So, oh well, he'll have to pick Biden or Buttigieg. Let's see how it goes.
Well, when we come back from the break, we're gonna discuss why the hashtag Pete Buttigieg is a lying MF was trending recently.
We hope you're enjoying this free clip from the Young Turks. If you want to get the whole show and more exclusive content while supporting independent media, become a member at tyt.com/join today. In the meantime, enjoy this free segment. All right, back on the Young Turks. Let me start with the member comments. Medicare for All signs that escape Pelosi's basement, writes in. Obama, you chose to speak out about Bernie? Are you kidding? I used to think Obama was a progressive in his heart, but the establishment just beat him down. His campaign was change. I'm so disappointed. You look, in a different time, Obama might have been progressive, but anyway. Megan says, honestly, Obama continues to break my heart, and I don't know why I'm surprised. He's made it perfectly clear he was putting on a show in 2008. Leroy, not Jenkins Beresford, says Obama's concerned about Bernie making his legacy irrelevant. It's just that simple. Such a shame that his legacy is more important than the people. But look, I just want to say, I'm sure that Obama, in his mind, actually thinks that Bernie can't win. He's 1,000% wrong about that.
That he can't win?
The general election. That's probably part of what's animating him, right? Like, and then there's all the things we discussed, which is, I think, the majority of it. But some portion of it is everyone in Washington thinks, oh no, Bernie will definitely lose the election, no matter what the polling shows. By the way, the latest set of polls, Bernie does better against Trump than everyone else.
Of course.
Okay, but
you know why?
No one in Washington can read a poll.
So, get rid of the labels for a second. The reason why he has broader appeal is because he talks about and has a message that resonates with everyone regardless of political ideology. Doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you're getting screwed by this system. And that's what he talks about, that's what resonates.
Of course, and the maintainers of the system in Washington are not happy about that message. All right, Eclectic Miss Jelani, I think that Barack Obama should reread King's speech. Apparently he got it backwards. Instead of embracing the fierce urgency of now, Obama's rooting for the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. C-Max Feeling the Burn says on Twitter, I see you, Anna, with the of course. I can't wait to have you take over. Tick, 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 tick.
I mean, look, that happened a while ago. You guys just did it. There just wasn't a formal announcement about it.
Okay, all right. Okay, Santos Fuente writes in, do not forget Obama passed on Warren as director of Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Well, that's why I hung on so long I don't endorse Bernie, but I support Warren as a progressive because she got the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau passed against Obama's wishes, even though he was president and the Republicans hated it. That is a minor and maybe even a major miracle. To this day, I'm not sure how she did that. So Obama didn't want to pass it so much that as a matter of spite, when it did pass, because the pressure that Warren had put on, he's like, oh yeah, I'm not making you director.
Yeah, okay, we gotta go.
Okay, I know. Just last two from YouTube Super Chat. Rbuckle123 says, quote, if I have to share the list of criminals that Trump has pardoned, I really prefer to die, the turkey.
Turkey.
And then last one is Rudy Acosta with a good point. Obama needs to realize that the ACA is going away, either dismantled by the GOP or as a stepping stone to Medicare for all. Pick one. Agreed, but of course, if Medicare for all happens, then ACA is moot. It just doesn't matter at all.
That legacy.
And there goes both Obama and Pelosi's legacy. Whenever you ask Pelosi or Pelosi supporters, what has she ever done? The only thing they could ever point to is the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
And if Medicare for all wipes it away, and because it's better and bigger, they're like, oh, how about me? My poor reputation. Anyway, thank you for using YouTube Super Chat. What's next, Anna?
All right. Recently, the hashtag Pete Buttigieg is a lying MF went viral on Twitter. And the question is why? What's going on? Well, there was a wonderful and incredibly powerful piece written in The Root by Michael Harriot, and I highly recommend everyone read the full piece. And he is chiming in, commenting on a recent video of Buttigieg that surfaced. The video was from 2011, and it features Buttigieg essentially claiming that minority children have a difficult time breaking the cycle of poverty because they just don't have anyone in the household to look up to. They don't have the appropriate mentors and the right people setting a good example for them. Now that was obviously a Republican talking point that we discussed on the show. But before I get to Harriet's points, I want you to watch that video in case you might have forgotten what he said, or maybe you hadn't seen it in the first place. Take a look.
The greatest part of the population right now are people my age. And a lot of people my age don't have anything to do, and if they would just go and mentor,
there'd be another inclusion in this whole thing.
And you get these
because the kids need to see evidence that education is going to work for them, right? So you see a lot of parts of
that's
town
part of the motivation.
Yeah, because you're motivated because you believe that at the end of your educational process there's a reward, there's a stable life, there's a job, and there are a lot of kids, especially the lower income minority neighborhoods, who literally just haven't seen it work. There isn't somebody they know personally,
and I think that's
who testifies to the value of education. So yeah,
to meet that person.
You bet.
They need to get that push from somebody other than if a family member isn't enthused about their educational history and lets them just throw their bag in the corner, like you said earlier, then things aren't going to happen.
It's irritating. It gets more irritating every time I watch that. Yeah. And in one part of it, he mentions education, stable life. I know a lot of people right now who have gone through the process of obtaining a higher education. They've even gone to get their graduate degrees after the fact, and their lives aren't very stable right now under this system. But yeah.
No, of course, the part that's most infuriating is the moralizing. Like, it's not that you didn't have opportunity; that it's really your parents' fault and the culture's fault. And then someone on Twitter, and a lot of critique of this, and Harriet's got the best one we're gonna get to in 1 second. But somebody else said, how come they never talk about that with poor white people? How come they never talk about what's wrong with their parents? Why don't their parents show them the value of education, right? It's only reserved for poor black people. Then we're moralizing about how they have some sort of cultural problem as opposed to a funding problem. Yes. Now we're gonna show you what the real numbers are and you're gonna see exactly what we're talking about, that it's really a funding issue.
So I think the best sentence to summarize how Michael Harriot at The Root felt about that video that we just showed you was this: I wanna be clear, Pete Buttigieg is a lying mother effer.
That's strong.
Very strong, and he gives you reasons for why he feels that way. Now, the reason why he thinks he's a liar is because he is intentionally ignoring the fact that there are two Americas in this country. And to pretend as though everyone has an equal footing is ridiculous. And so let me give you the examples. Even though Buttigieg has never attended a school with more than 10% black students, he thinks he knows what's stopping black kids from achieving their educational dreams. I thought that was a great point, but then he gets into some numbers.
Before the numbers, he said something earlier in the piece that really resonated too. He's like, Pete Buttigieg went to one of the best private high schools in the country on the campus of one of the best universities in the country, Notre Dame. So you had two parents who were really high performing, high income. They weren't the richest people in the world, right? But he really had all the advantages. He had all the opportunity in the world. And so that doesn't mean that you should discount what he did, but it gives you a sense of like this. That's what's so frustrating about white Republicans. They get handed all this opportunity. It goes back to the great quote about George W. Bush. He was born on third base and thought he hit a triple, right? So Buttigieg, having gotten all of this massive opportunity, not only thinks he hit a triple, which he could have hit, he's a really smart guy, right? That he hit a triple, but then looks back at you and judges you for not being able to get on base. But I wasn't born on the campus of one of the best universities. I didn't have the opportunity to go to one of the best private schools in the country when I was in high school. So please spare me your moralizing when you had all those opportunities.
So let me give you an example to kind of juxtapose Pete Buttigieg's experience going to one of the best schools on the campus of one of the best universities to what Michael Harriot went through. So he was living in the projects as a kid, and in order to go to school, he had to walk to school. They didn't have buses to take them to school. So what he had to do, like many other people living in the area, was walk, over a ditch, and there was no bridge. And the only way you could walk across that ditch was through this like makeshift bridge, right? And what was the bridge? It was just a wood plank that the kids used.
And sometimes you slip and fall in, and it's a mess. And that's a real life. And he said if you didn't want to take the plank and risk falling into the ditch, you had to walk 30 minutes around, et cetera. And then, and he said he was lucky because some of the folks in the neighborhood who were doing, some illicit activities, because that was economic opportunity in their neighborhood, were actually decent enough to save up money
for him
and give it to him when he was going to college, so he'd at least have a little something. And they got him somebody to drive to college because he didn't have a driver's license. See, that's another thing that people don't recognize. Right. There's such little opportunity in so many areas of this country, and his mom was blind, so she couldn't drive. So Michael Harriot rises up from this, right? And a lot of people did. And then to see the Buttigiegs of the world look down their nose at you and say like, well, why doesn't everybody do it?
No, but what's the amazing thing is that even in the circumstances that Harriet had to deal with, he feels this tremendous amount of gratitude. He considers himself lucky because he recognizes the support and support that he was able to have in his life that others don't. Like recognizing those differences and coming from a place of gratitude is so important. But now let's get to the actual statistics that he cites, because this is really the heart of the matter. It's the systemic change that needs to happen in this country to provide opportunities. It's not about culture. It's not about, these people are different from other people. There aren't enough mentors in the household. No, this is what's really going on. Majority minority schools receive $23 billion less in funding than majority white schools, and that's according to a recent study by EdBuild. Now, this is something that we've actually talked about on TYT a lot, because in many school districts, the schools are funded through property taxes. And so if you're in a poor neighborhood where the property taxes are low, or the revenue from property taxes is low, then your school is unlikely to get the same funding as a school in a wealthy area.
So look, guys, on that stat alone, this conversation is over. So it's one thing to say, hey, listen, everybody's got the same opportunity, not results, but same opportunity. And well, one set of folks did not do as well. Well, let's try to analyze what went wrong. But that's not the case. $23 billion less. So you put somebody in a giant hole, and then you look down at them and ask them, well, why haven't you gotten up yet? I guess it's your moral problem or your parents' cultural and moral problem that you didn't get out of the ditch that I left you in. So if you can't figure out why people are really mad at Buttigieg, that's why.
Let me give you more. The unemployment rate for black college graduates is twice as high as the unemployment rate for white grads. So
remember, they're both college graduates.
Exactly. Black college graduates are paid 80 cents for every dollar a white person with the same education earns.
With the same education.
And white people leave college with lower debt and higher earnings. White kids get more resources, more advanced classes, and have access to more technology. Now, why do white students graduate with less debt and more savings? A lot of it has to do with interest rates that are charged on private loans. As we know through many studies, interest rates tend to be higher for black loan recipients versus white loan recipients.
And even more important, the average white family has 10 times as much wealth as the average black family. And that is definitely a legacy of slavery, Jim Crow, and all of the abuse and the redlining and all the discrimination that African Americans have faced throughout our history. If you can't understand that, you just don't care about facts.
Finally, I want to go to the last graphic because, again, as I said, you need to read his entire piece. There are excerpts from it that we can't get to today because of we don't have enough time, but this was a really powerful portion of it. Pete Buttigieg is standing over a dying man, holding the oxygen machine in his hand and telling everyone, nah, he doesn't need CPR. He's just holding his breath. Negligent homicide is still homicide.
Yeah, he came harder than I do, which is not
amazing.
Yeah, which is not normal. Anyway, I actually do want to give a couple more quotes here, as quickly as I can. He said, "It is painted as a problem of black lethargy and not white apathy." See, that's super powerful and really gets to the core of it. The white apathy is, well, I'm not going to fund your schools, okay? So because I don't care about you. And then so that's what leaves you in the ditch.
Right.
And then they turn around and say, oh, you're just lazy.
Totally.
God damn it, how is that not frustrating, right? And then he says something that Matt Stoller, who's gonna be a guest on the show later today, also pointed out about a completely different piece. And it's fascinating how the Root covers Pete Buttigieg versus Associated Press. Associated Press had a glowing piece about Pete Buttigieg and how he's the wonder child. Not one negative thing, just glowing, like wonderful, intelligent, genius, languages, piano. Okay, and Matt Stoller, who's a very strong progressive, said almost the same exact thing that Michael Harriot said here. He said Pete Buttigieg doesn't want to change anything; he just wants to be something, right? And Matt, having read the Associated Press piece, came away with the same thing. Even though it was a glowing piece about Buttigieg, you never get a sense of what drives him other than, I'd like to have power, and I'd like to be in charge, and I'd like to be really successful.
I've been preparing for this my entire life. Went to Harvard, served in the military. I've been doing everything right. What's the problem?
The problem is you're supposed to actually look out for other people. You're supposed to serve them. There's supposed to be something that drives you,
right,
instead of the drive to like, I want to be president. I'm gonna leave on Kamau Bell. He said about the same Buttigieg clip, we're about to find out how someone can get less than 0% of the black vote.
All right, before we go to break, I just want to make a quick announcement. TYT will be off for the Thanksgiving holiday, so we will not have a live show on Thursday and Friday. However, we have pre-recorded content that we will be airing, and you can watch that by going to our website or going to our YouTube page, youtube.com/TYT. But we also have extra content for members only. So we put together a special piece of Thanksgiving themed content to tell our members what we're thankful for. And it's really wonderful. Hank Thompson, who works here, edited the video. I watched a portion of it yesterday. It was so good to watch. I love it. So if you're a member, you can check that out by specifically going to the specials section on our website. It'll be up on Thanksgiving morning, okay? So it won't be up until Thanksgiving morning. Make sure you check that out. If you're not a member though, you can go to tyt.com/join and become a member. With that said, I think we're gonna go to a teaser video. Yeah, so let's go to break, and what you're about to see is a little teaser video for the members only content.